It's your boy Drizzy Banks, and welcome back to the channel. So on today's episode, we're going to be kind of going over 10K that I made in less than 24 hours of trading. Very fun, very simple breakdown, very easy at that too. My favorite part was just kind of taking the trades and just showing how I kind of maintain it. So there's a lot of value to be had. We're going to go over my mindset, what I thought, what happened when I got stopped out, what was this my overall mindset, and how I was kind of determined because of the higher time frame kind of guiding me. So there's a lot of value. So just get ready to take notes and soak this all in. Yeah, let's go to the charts. The setup was based off the 4-hour time frame. You can see with the 4-hour, the very first thing that I always do is I always draw my market structure, so that way I have a strong sense of where I'm going when it comes to the trend. So as you can see, I'm here drawing my market structure, focusing on how GJ is in a downtrend, and then suddenly it gets the spark to go ahead and try and break structure, which you'll see where we are in the current movement where we're going. So after I went ahead and drew off my market structure, I like to draw my fibs as well, so that way I understand the sense of direction on where I'm headed. And at this current moment in time, these are all 23.6s. Bless me. This was the only 38.2 mark right here. Bring this a little bit lower, it's like right here, even Steven. So this mark right here was the previous market structure, lower high that needed to be broken. This was kind of the patience move that I was kind of just waiting for. I like to put an eclipse around this so that way I know where I am. And I want to label this LH for lower high. Keep in mind this move is based off the H4, so that's why I have the markings showing. So after we made our lowest low point, we made a high and we made a low. It wasn't lower than this previous one, so I kind of went ahead and saw what price was doing. The first trade that I went ahead and took was like on the 14th, so let me go down to a little bit lower of a time frame so I can show y'all. So it was right around here after we did this beautiful break and retest. So me kind of knowing where I was at, especially with structure and everything. Let me go back to the 4-hour real quick so I can show y'all. I have this thing that I do where I drop QPs down, and the reason why I'm dropping QPs down because I never know where the market's gonna kind of stop at. So I always drop the majors first, so that way I know of 100 pip range that I'm stuck in. Then I know about how to going about executing it. So you can see I have the 3 majors here listed. Last one right here. Tweak those a little bit. Coordinates. So after I went ahead and I got the majors kind of listed on there, I then was going ahead and looking for a structure. So keep in mind that this was the previous market structure, lower low, this is the lower high, this is the high, and this is the low, right? Buyers came back and took over right here. So eventually I was just waiting for a retest to happen of this engulfing candle right here. And this is kind of like my little trick on what I do to kind of like help me solidify and find my entries. So the little engulfing trick right here, basically where this is the last candle before bullish engulfing, so whatever happens is going to be a retest, which there's a beautiful retest that happened sometime over here, which actually made me take the trade. So going down to the 2-hour, I'll go ahead and show you guys what happened. I have multiple positions that I went ahead and opened up. So the very first one was this, of course, the engulfing on that time frame. Once I came down, I also had this tweezer bottom. I call them tested candles. So this right here was the biggest cheat code for me to enter. At this moment in time, I knew where I was at within structure. And from here to here, there was like a little minor break. You can see price kind of came right here, came down, retested, came down, retested, came down. Right here, shot up, then it came back right here. Then it came. So then it came back right here, then it shot up, which it officially had broke minor structure on the lower time frames. The lower time frame that I'm talking in reference to is the what you call it, the hour time frame. So now that we're kind of on this time frame, the 1 hour, the 1 hour is where I kind of started basing my setup. So I gotta redraw market structure to kind of show y'all my sense of direction on where I was going with this. And also I have to draw the supply and the little mini supply and demand zones that I have in this area for the break and retest that kind of helps support this overall move on how I caught it. So after I came down to the 1 hour, I draw my market structure again. So the biggest key when drawing your market structure is making sure that you cover the wicks and areas where there's 2 or more candles going in a sense of direction, so that way you know that you're drawing it correctly. So you can see right here a lot of retest action, kind of just retesting common support that it made. Price just doing what price likes to do. So then this happened. So it was a little bit after this that the choppy movements and me kind of just back testing and studying, and again just having a firm understanding on just how this pair moves. This is the part over here where I went for the trade, right? So of course you could see all the market structure that I have going on here. You can see it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna delete the higher time frame so it's less cluttered, so that way you could just see the spikes. And basically what we're using these spikes to kind of draw basically our support and resistance zones. So right here where price came back to, it came back for retest. This zone right here, I'll make these zones red. That zone right there. Then after this point right here, it made the new high point. This was another zone as well. And then right here as well. And then last but not least, this zone right here that acted as resistance right here. This played the biggest role in helping me kind of maintain my trades. And last but not least, let me stretch this one out. There's this one that's going to be for a later move, which I'll go ahead and show you guys. Alright, so right along over here within price, we all have our zones that kind of played the biggest role. Let me kind of delete this and clean this up real quick. We all had our zones that played the biggest role. So this zone right here, once price kind of came down, I went ahead and backtracked to the higher time frame. I saw that this time frame had went up and it was just kind of doing a market structure retest, so I wasn't really worried about it as long as this bullish engulfing candle was kind of being maintained. So once I got this detail right here and I saw the drop in the rejection, I went back to the 1 hour and I waited, and I literally got this candle right here. This candle on the 2 hour where I have this box around was the tested candle. This gave me all the signal to go ahead and enter. So from there I was just being patient, taking my time, just looking for a setup. So then after I waited for the market to kind of move, the market finally broke this area right here. So now the price kind of used the zone, I'll delete it. Price literally broke this zone right here, right? Right here we have a little mini zone right here. This is the zone that I was using for the break and retest to happen. So once price kind of came down and did what it did accordingly right here, I'll kind of clean up the zones. I'll use the zones on the lower time frames. I'll make them orange so that way we can see the details of the movement on what I'm talking about. So right around here, once price kind of broke above right here, I was looking for price to kind of do its thing with a retest. So it kind of came back and retested the 38.2. And this point, at this moment in time, via the lower time frames, I had gotten a little mini breaker structure that even happened on the 1 hour time frame. So I knew I was kind of good to go. But going back to my 30-minute, the retest kind of just helped me. Going to a 15-minute, which was my time frame of entry, we were kind of stuck in between the two zones. So what I did was I first waited for price to break above. Then once it retested zone, I was good. It literally gave me an engulfing, which is right here where my entry is. So I'll go ahead and mark it off. So literally my first entry is at 150, 171. Right around there. That was my first entry. All these were logged. My stop loss was like around 12 pips. I left it under and I literally wrote it. I started adding my QPs as TPs so that way I could have a strong sense of where the move was going as far as for support and resistance wise. This is what I use to kind of maintain my trades along with zones. You can see that with the movement of the markets, it kind of works perfectly co-in-hand with market structure and zones. So you can see right here, we had a little retest. We'll just come all the way up to right here. We got in right here with our entry. We came back, we retested, we kept on going long, all the way up to here, and boom. So my TP for this move was like around the 900 area. Again, I was in this move for quite a little bit, and because of the consolidation that it was doing in the slow sideways movements, I added 2 positions, which I'll show you the other position and why I added in just a second. So I added this position, holding it. Of course, price does this thing, it goes up. It almost came and hit the stop loss right here. This candle had me a little fearsome, but I was prepared for risk. I knew what I was risking. I did 5 lots on this trade, so I knew what I was risking. I was risking about $650 to $750, somewhere around that range. It all depends on how spread took me out, but I held it like a man, instantly held my profit. And with this, I exit all the way up here at 96 near so I basically exit all the way up here near resistance, and I'll go ahead and show you guys how it is that I got this exit, like around 960. So that one trade alone, that was that much pips. Within here, I took a second trade. The second trade was taken and kind of held once we kind of maintained support right here. So I waited patiently before I added my second entry. I like to kind of space my entries out a little bit. So for the sake of the breakdown, let me kind of move this over here, so that way we can kind of understand the exit once we get there. So again, we have market structure back over here where the move is showing us that, you know, we're still kind of maintaining on the lower time frames, still kind of maintaining. This next move that I'm about to show you kind of made things just a little bit interesting. So this next move came a little bit after the first QP that we broke. I entered like around 300, and that was this steep retrace from here. This entry was based off of market structure from the 1 hour. I kind of saw that we were failing to make to kind of push all the way up and make a new high point within this range. But if my biggest loss is this was, first of all, I got this tested candle right here, but then we came back for a retest. This retest that we came back, if I go down to the 30-minute, I can show you that this retest was actually the first market structure movement. So from here to here, I put it at the peak. Literally, I entered, I'll go down to the 15-minute, which is my time frame of entry. And once this QP got respected as an area of support, I waited. I saw that we already respected right here. Once price kind of came right around here and pushed up basically at this closure, I entered just a little before this candle closed, and the concept was still same. I entered a little like around 300. The concept was the same. I entered, it already used the QPS support. Stop loss was damn near at the same spot at the other entry. So I was using that area as break even. So if it came back to this other trade, it would stop me out. That way I'll take a learning opportunity and I'll just have to wait for what this trade is gonna do. So I took the first trade there. And let me kind of move this over for the sake of the breakdown. So boom, second entry right here. So let me kind of label these for you. First entry, boom. Second entry. So then I have my two entries, both of them 12 pip stop loss, 13 pip stop loss, just in my comfort zone that exactly on what I would like to risk. And it's crazy. Both these trades I actually exit at the same area. I waited for structure to continue developing and printing, and both these trades were literally exit at the same area, like around 159.61. So all I did was wait for structure to continue to develop based on the 1 hour. Once we kind of finally got over a hurdle of respecting this QP, literally I saw that we were using this as resistance, because at this moment in time, based on what I based my trade off of the 4 hour, we were approaching this zone right here, and I didn't want the rejection from this zone because it was a 38.2 area. I didn't want the rejection from the zone to kind of knock us out. So I said, let me play it safe and let me take profit like around up here, and got out. That was the first intraday setup. Then I actually took two trades that I got stopped out of based off of news. I called these moves, well, not called them, I called them on my app, of course, the Boston Up app. But this was like the biggest way on how I caught this next setup. Keep in mind that down here, I based this move off of a lower time from 38.2, but that's not the time frame I based my analysis off of. So I know fully that I knew where I was at, but I didn't want to take the move like that. So what happened for these next two trades that I lost? Let me kind of take this off real quick. So far we got 79 pips. I'll drag that over here. 64 pips. I'll drag that over here. These next two trades that I'm about to show you about was log were trades that I were learning opportunities. Let me kind of remove these first. And the way how I like to trade, I like to keep things super duper simple. I don't like to make things more complex than it needs to be. I like looking at structure. I like reading candlestick patterns. I like using support and resistance in zones and fibs and even trend lines for everything to kind of dedicate towards my bias. So once you kind of have your process of rinse, wash, and repeat set up, it's really smooth from there. So these next two trades that I took learning opportunities, the first, I all got stopped out by this big candle right here. I think this was FMOC. Literally what I saw at the moment in time before this drop happened was this area is being used as support, and this zone that was right here, I'll kind of make it a little bit better. This zone right here at that moment in time was being respected by price. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're more than likely doing a 23.6. It's either going to be a lesson or a blessing. So me now, back on this 15-minute time frame, the first entry was at 8:35, which is right around here, which is basically this engulfing candle right here. Boom, that I took. The second entry was, so I took three entries here. I took another one at 8:71, which was right around here. And my thoughts at that moment in time was, I took one right before the engulfing. I took one for a retest of the engulfing. So I'm like, okay, we're good to go. Boom, right? So I take the trade. We're all good. And I'm holding. And then, boom. I take the trade that was at 871, which was the higher one up here. And as soon as news kind of came in, I already saw it was rejecting, but I didn't expect the FMOC news to kind of push me down so hard. It pushed me down all the way down here to basically 700, where I had a mental stop loss set and I had my physical stop loss set. This is where I was okay at losing money. So bada bing, bada boom, this move taken out, right? 871. The other entry was held. I was like, okay, so I held it literally all the way back in this drawdown. From my understanding, based on what I see here, because this one was at 8:35. Yeah, this one, no. So this other entry right here, I actually took profit right here, literally. So yeah, because this entry I took profit before the drop. This was when I noticed resistance was happening and I didn't want to be greedy, so I took my 17 pips or so. I literally got out at like around 105, so like around right here. So I had to be like this candle right here, this candle. So I literally took my 16 pips and I walked away. So that kind of explained that. So we could add our 16 pips to the wins over here. I don't know. I like to keep track of the pips that I catch to show anybody that it's possible to be consistent day over day. So after that, I actually, boom, I wasn't holding no moves. That was kind of like the fluff that I made to have the, I think it was like a 6K so far. And then I already showed you the first move that I got stopped out of. The second move that I went ahead and took was at 529. I think it was like right around here. I was waiting for the market to, so after the drop then happened, and I'm like, okay, we're probably gonna respect this area as some form of support. Let me delete this, right around here. I was like, okay, we're probably gonna respect this area as some type of support. It's time to retest and go up. It came to the QP again. It rejected this bad boy as resistance, and I was like, oh, we're going down. So I was like, damn. This is where being too early kind of fails, because there was this candle right here that took me out. You could see that we already had the wicks right here. And the biggest takeaway that kind of made me take this trade with confidence was the tweezer bottom right here. The tweezer bottom is one of those candlestick patterns that never really fails you. So I'm like, yo, we're supposed to do a big launch up. What the fuck? I got stopped out. So I'm like, man, this shit ain't ready yet. So I waited, and then I had another similar setup like the one that I took before. So now I'll show you the two golden moves that I went ahead and took in this area and why. So I'll make this first zone. This first zone, I'm actually gonna get the median of all the wicks in the area so I can show you. I kind of like, this move was kind of like super dope for me. The reason why it was so dope was because I had an overlap of zones right there. It made me extremely confident. You know, I was basically okay with what I saw. I'll make it not too dark, but I was kind of super okay with what I saw. So, boom, I already got stopped out of those two trades. So I was being patient and I waited. And this is where I went on an even lower time frame. And I kind of saw this market structure, and this market structure kind of helped me set it off, as I like to say. So you can see right here where we have the black zone. Getting a median of all the wicks. This is like the medium area. You can see how it literally was just a break. So all I did was I waited for a market to kind of come back and validate, and then this engulfing happened right here. This candle was nice. It was full. It was strong. It was full of momentum. I liked it, but I was prepared for the risk. This candle solidified and let me know that, hey, buyers are back in the area. We're good to go. We should be good. So I was like, okay, I'll take that chance. So I took this trade, and instantly my stop loss was about 12 pips. At this moment in time, I just literally waited for the zone to break, and then once we kind of braked above and the market was going up and up and up right here, I was like, all right, good, I'm good to go. So I saw right here, at this moment in time, I went ahead and switched back to my 30-minute time frame, and I saw this. So I was like, oh shit. So we finally broke above this little area. So I was like, the tweezer bottom was real. It was a 30-minute tweezer bottom, not that 15-minute. So it wasn't this small one that I should have been worried about. It was this big one that was still developing. That's why I kind of got stopped out. So when I backed out and I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, we're definitely good. This area is a lot of rejection right here. I could tell that the market is exhausted. And then on top of that, I landed right into a golden zone, because keep in mind, this is the new higher high that I made. I landed right into this golden zone right here. Let me kind of hide the higher time frame fib. I landed right into this golden zone right here. So I was like, okay, goody. And I also had this little zone right here from this previous higher high that was made over here. This one kind of helped solidify and push up. So once the rejection happened and I started respecting 50% as well, because if I backtrack all the way to the 1 hour, this is what I saw at that moment in time. and then we literally had this candle kind of come straight up and print through. So once this engulfing happened, after every engulfing comes a retest. So I was like, all right, cool, let me chill out, let me wait for it. And then this is where the next entry kind of came through. The next entry kind of came through right here at 535. This is when the market came, it finally broke above and it was retesting the QP. This stop loss was actually set also underneath this zone as well. So this stop loss was kind of set right there at 13 pips. And literally that's what I was risking. And literally from here, the rest is kind of history. I just maintained the trade all from 4 a.m. around the time that I entered it. I exit like around, not this high, I entered literally like around 151.10. So I entered like around, I closed out like around, somewhere like around here. This is all I secured from that move. And all I was just waiting to do was just kind of come back to this higher high point. This higher high point. So that way I could secure. And that was one move. And then the second move also that I had as well, I had two moves. I secured it for a, literally got out both of them at the same area for another 50 pips. So I was like, at this moment, I met my trading plan. There's no need for me to kind of stay in the market any longer. So I was like, listen, I hit my goal. I made back my what I risked originally, what I took my learning opportunities based off of. I studied my learning opportunities and why. And then from there, I was kind of like good to go. So in this total, the biggest lesson was just patience. Of course, the move went way higher than anticipated, but I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't worried about holding on to the entirety of the move. I literally just wanted, today was just one of those days I just wanted to follow my trading plan and just get right back to it. So in a period of 24 hours, I caught 79 pips, plus 66, plus 16, plus 57, plus 49. I caught a total of 267 pips. So very simple, very easy, just following my trading plan and my goals, following market structure, and just making sure that I'm paying attention to the higher time frame, which kind of was the time frame I was basing my bias. You can see I caught this retest pretty smoothly. If you look on the higher time frame, it's just nothing but a retest followed by wicks right here and that big launch off, and we actually finally broke structure just as anticipated. So I'll be looking at longs moving forward. But yeah, very simple, very fun, very unique. Hope you guys have a lot to learn from this. Thank you so much for just giving me time to break this down and to kind of go over this with full entirety and full detail for you guys. So thank you. And just to kind of show you, this was actually my chart over here. This is my actual chart. And you can see all the same markups that I had are the same moves that I explained, from the breaking of this zone to me buying right here and having this demand zone and getting stopped out, to the last move hitting these negative percentage levels and hitting even TP. So trading is what you make it, man. You just got to be patient and have a firm understanding of what you see, and you can do that with market structure, candles, trend lines, and Fibonacci. For more information on how I go about my trades and my breakdown, tune into the PAC University, or you could join my free Telegram group for analysis and insight. But this is all right. So as simple as that. You've seen the breakdown, and you've seen the energy that came with it. You've seen how I was determined, how I was just focused, and how the candlestick patterns and market structure really kind of just guided me. Again, I've been doing this for like about 6, almost 7 years now. So it's really just became rinse, wash, and repeat when it comes to these breakdowns. The biggest thing is kind of just homing in on your focus and just making sure that you know where you are within market structure. Once you kind of have a strong sense of market structure and what's being used as support, what's being used as resistance, and having candles tell you the signals on when you need to enter the trade and when you need to exit is good. I mean, besides that, you could tell the difference on who's really doing it and who's not. Chart work and history is just going to kind of explain it. There's definitely a lot of value to be had in this video. Just thank you so much for just supporting me and just keeping me up to speed so well. So I really appreciate you guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.